This was a story that I was going to cover yesterday, didn't get to it. A white person smiling at a black person is a racist microaggression. Yes, this is more common sense coming out of Portland College's Whiteness History Month. Of course, the other day we had a professor saying that white people owe blacks $20 trillion in reparations. And we're not going to play the clip, but you can watch it on the website. The audio is not great. But it's basically this professor and these two white students agonizing, being so uncomfortable in their own skin that they don't know how to react when they walk past a black person. And in fact, they talk about their black relatives that coined the term white guy smile because they think that they're smiling at black people to be nice to them and it's forced and that it's not innate and not natural and therefore it's racist. Of course, not smiling at a black person when you walk past them is also racist. So they agonize over it in this clip. This one student is saying how he's walking down the street and there's a gang of black people in front of him. He feels intimidated, so he crosses the road, but then he feels guilty about that. So he has to go back across the street and explain to this gang why he crossed the road, to explain why he smiled at them in a certain way or why he didn't smile. So again, it's about this white guilt based on the completely phony historical narrative that only white people are responsible for slavery. I mean, was it terrible? Were white people involved? Yes, but nowhere near to the level of the Islamist slave trade, as I said, which murdered over 112 million black people and was far more brutal and lasted for far longer than the slave trade in America. But you won't hear about that in universities because it doesn't promote the idea of white guilt, which is how they get power. Again, they set themselves up as the representatives of people of color, whether they've asked for it or not, and then you have to bow down, you have to admit your white guilt to them and give them more power. That's what it's all about. When you look at the facts, the complete actual historical narrative of slavery, you know, more whites were abducted and enslaved by Muslims than the number of blacks enslaved by whites. In fact, black people and white people were the main victims of the slave trade at the hands of Muslims. You know, the Chinese had slaves. Basically, everybody had slaves at one point or another in history. And in fact, only 6% of them went to America back during the height of slavery in America. The vast majority went to South America. But you don't get Brazilians and Argentinians being lectured all day about how racist they are and how they should feel deep white guilt.